Good morning and welcome back to Margin. This morning we're going to talk about financial grit. So let's jump right into it. So 2018 was a year that I pray and hope not to repeat. It was the most challenging year of my life, and more times than I care to admit, I went on autopilot just trying to take in information and respond appropriately. And with that, I found that it created in me resolve. It created in me grit, and it gave me the ability to really look at how to approach life intentionally to ensure that I am focusing in on proper perspective and seeing things through the lens of having a proper perspective. So our culture is constantly beating the drum that if something is difficult, if something is challenging, that we need to just give up. We need to get out. We need to get on. We need to move on. We need to get out of that situation, whatever it takes. Now, unfortunately, what that causes is it causes your brain to not actually work through whatever issue you're trying to resolve. And so with that, if you're constantly just giving up, if you're constantly just moving on, and you're constantly not dealing with issues, your brain is taught to just turn off rather than persevering, pushing through, figuring out what that solution needs to look like, and actually being able to see the benefit of experiencing the challenge, but also experiencing the triumph over the challenge. So instead of triumphing over those challenges, as a culture, it's so easy for us to succumb to failure, just to accept failure, to accept a way out rather than pushing through and finding a way through. And so with that, if your finances are in disarray, file bankruptcy. Or if your marriage is a mess, get a divorce. Or if school is hard, drop out. Like there's so many aspects of life where people have built in a way out rather than a way through. So these ways out don't produce the resolve that you are necessarily looking for in many cases. And unfortunately, what happens is you are giving yourself what you think you need in that temporary phase, in that heightened emotion, in that fear or whatever it is, rather than what you need. And what you need is the ability to push through, the ability to have grit, to push through, to figure out whatever circumstance it is, whatever circumstance you're facing, and figuring out, how do I find a resolution for this? How do I push through and become stronger because of this situation? So grit really is the strength of character that you find when someone decidedly goes through the battlefield, goes directly through the battlefield rather than choosing to go around or simply opt out because of the difficulty. So as we meet on a daily basis, go episode by episode, series by series, and theme by theme to revamp your personal finances. The purpose of it is to go straight through that storm, to figure out how to help you best manage and maintain and revamp your personal finances so that you don't become another stat, so that you are able to triumph over the challenges you face from a personal finance standpoint. So I've outlined in so many different fashions our current financial standing, our condition as a society when it comes to personal finance, and it is bleak. Now, whether you look at our low savings rate, historically, whether you look at our debt loads, whether you look at our spending habits or our consumption habits, whatever metric you look at, it most likely is not encouraging. And so with that, it's important to look at what aspects are you intentionally looking at and working on with your personal finances that you are intentionally walking through, so that you don't just become another stat, so that you are actively working on your personal finances, and so that you are building a legacy for generations to come. Now, that's deep and all, but the purpose of bringing that up is the fact that people are feeding their discontentment with their behaviors, with their finances. So I understand that there are seasons of life where we feel discontent, that we do not have contentment, but our society is perpetually discontent. And so with that, you have to be careful about not allowing society to define your contentment, and instead for you to grasp the importance of getting your financial picture in order, for having grit to push through when it's challenging, to realize that there's complete ownership on your end to managing your finances. It's not your family's job. It's not your friend's job. It's not your boss's job. It's not the government's job. It's your job to manage your own personal finances. So at one point, I was overseeing 55 employees. Now, I absolutely loved my employees, and for the most part, many were low maintenance. But there was one employee in particular that I remember just pouring into to develop, to invest in. And I remember it never being enough. And it was something that was frustrating for me as I was trying to lead well, trying to help this person find their purpose. And yet, whether it was adjusting the aspects of the job that they worked on, or it was raises over a period of time, or whatever it was, it seemed like this person was never content. Now, contentment, you can't hardwire into someone. They have to have that gratitude. They have to have that eagerness for learning. They have to have that inner purpose. There's so many different components that you can't control. And so oftentimes people want other people to fix their contentment, to get them motivated. And it's important for you to figure out what it is that motivates you, but then choose to have grit, choose to push through, choose to work even when you aren't feeling motivated, work and push through even when you're not inspired, and even when you feel like your purpose isn't fully maximized at that time. So there's a quote I recently heard, and I'm not actually sure where the quote came from, but I love the quote and it applies today. And what it says is, remember when you dreamed of having what you have today. And so often it's so easy for us to get caught up in that bigger, better deal, wanting to get that promotion, get married, have another kid, all those other things that we are striving towards that are not necessarily bad things, but they take us away from being present, take us away from enjoying where we're at and being appreciative, being excited for, and being able to operate with gratitude with where we're at today, and actually enjoying life today. So I believe situations are what you make of them. So with that, there are situations that we have all gone through, like the situations I faced in 2018. And these situations can make or break us, can set us up to persevere, to have that grit, to see the light at the end of the tunnel and to persevere. Or they can cause us to be that doormat, to be that victim, to stop in our tracks, not put one foot in front of the other, and not move forward out of fear. But it's important for you to look at, okay, well, do I have grit? And my call to action today really comes down to, where are you at with your personal finances? Have you decided to be resolute, to push through, to persevere, and to accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish in your personal finances? Or have you just stopped in your tracks? Have you decided that you're just going to play the victim card, that you're going to blame it on whoever you decide to blame it on? And it's important to realize that you're capable of so much more than you lead on, that you think you're capable of. And whatever the situation you're in, whatever the financial challenge you're faced with, there's hope. There's hope for you to find a way out of that challenge by allowing your brain to figure out a solution. If this information is helpful to you, please do like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you're reminded to come back on a daily basis and improve in managing your personal finances. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.